Hi and welcome back. Mutable default arguments. It's a terrible idea. So here's a common pitfall in Python that you definitely want to avoid, and that's the mutable default arguments. You know what mutable means, and you know what default argument means, so let's join them both together, and let's take this function here. I'm going to say create account, and it's going to take a name of the account, which is going to be a string, an account holder, which is going to be a string, that's probably the name of the account opener, and also account holders, which is going to be a list, and it's going to equal an empty list at the start. So the logic behind this is that you're going to create a new account with this name. This is going to be the account holder, and it can have also other account holders as well, and they'll be coming through in this list here. So you can give it a list of account holders. So we'll say account holders dot append holder. By default, when you create a new account, you'll append the holder of the account that you just added over to the account holders list. And if there are any other account holders in that list, you will also use them. And then we're going to return a dictionary representing our account. So that's going to be the name of the account, the main account holder. That's going to be the holder parameter here. And then it's going to be account holders. It's going to be the account holders list. Again, how we call this is we have, for example, an account 1. Let's create account, a check-in account, and the holder is Rolf. Notice how we don't have to pass an argument to the account holders parameter because it has a default value, which is this list. So what's going to happen is the name is going to be checking, the holder is going to be Rolf, and to the account holders, which is an empty list, we're going to append Rolf because that's the only holder in the account, and then we're going to return a dictionary, which is the main account holder, which is Rolf, and a list of account holders, which at the moment only includes Rolf. If we wanted to have multiple account holders, we could do this, for example, and then the account holders would be Jen and Rolf, because we append the opener, the main account holder, over to the list of account holders. But let's say we don't want to pass in an argument to this list. We just want to create an account, and this will be handled for us. It will put Rolf into this list. Then let's create another account. Let's say a savings account, but this time Jen is the owner of the account, and let's imagine they've got some sort of shared finances there, and she's the owner of the account, and she's the only holder in that account. Let's say Rolf sends her the money every month. Now, A2 and A1 are both dictionaries. That's what this function returns. What are we going to see when we print A2? This is a trick question, of course. I know that you already know about functions and dictionaries, so why would I ask you this? This is a trick question. What is it going to return? And important, try this out first if you don't want to be wrong. Hopefully you tried that out. As you can see here, what we see is the name is savings, the main account holder is Jen, but the account holders are both Rolf and Jen. So how did that happen? This function here never saw Rolf anywhere. Rolf didn't get passed to the function. It's not in any of the arguments. I've not hard-coded Rolf in here. So how did this happen? Well, what happened here is that the default parameter for the createAccount function gets evaluated when the function is defined, not when the function is called. So this list here, and what this parameter points to by default, is this object. So this gets created when the function gets created, not when the function is called. I'll make this clearer for you. I'm going to here print the ID of account holders and run this again. And notice how in both times we run the function, the ID is the same. When we didn't pass a parameter, an argument here, we used this list. We didn't use a new list, we used this list. And that was defined when the function was defined. So it's always the same list for every time the function gets called. So when we modify the list, when we mutate it, that's still the same list the next time the function calls. So now it contains Rolf, first of all, then it's going to modify to contain Jen again. And if we do this again, it will be Rolf, Jen, and someone else. So there are two ways to solve this problem. This is a common problem, by the way, and not one that a lot of people realize, and a lot of people start doing this, and then they're like, what the hell is going on in my code? I do not understand it. So, two ways to solve this problem. First one, of course, is to not have a default argument. Simple enough. Don't have a default argument. Instead, pass in an empty list here. These empty lists get evaluated when the function gets called, so they are going to be empty every time. There's a new empty list, new empty list. An option, of course. The second option is to not make this a list, but make it equal to none. Okay, then you don't have to pass anything here because it has a default argument, but of course it's none, so you can't append to it. So then what you'll do is you'll say if account holders, if not account holders, so if account holders is none, then say account holders is now a list. And then you can append to it. So what does that do? If you don't pass a list in here, it'll create a new one. And if you do pass a list in here, say, for example, Jen, it will use this list and it will append to it, and the account holders will end up being the holder and whomever else you defined in here. So those are your two options to avoid mutable argument problems. Mutable arguments are, of course, any data type that is mutable. You can have dictionaries, lists, you can have objects of your own types, and so forth. If you want to avoid these problems, use immutable data types as your default values. Integers, strings, floats, tuples, and so on. That way you cannot change one, and it won't change across executions of the function. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to make you aware of this very, very common pitfall so that you don't fall for this trap. So that's it, and I'll see you on the next one.